Which one of the following is the name of the functional group of propane 1-ol? This is a very basic question. Sticking to the basics, the definitions. We are not really applying anything here. So you should know that the answer to 1.1 is C. The name of the functional group of propane 1-ol and alcohol is hydroxyl. 1.2, the organic compound C2H4 is converted to an alkane as shown in the reaction below. So it is an alkene to an alkane. So we know that that is hydrogenation. Which one of the following is a suitable catalyst for this reaction? Again, sticking to the basics. The answer to 1.2 is B, platinum. 1.3, which one of the following statements always apply to compounds that are structural isomers of one another? So the key word here is always. It has to always apply. Let's take a look at Roman figure 1. They belong to the same homologous series. Not necessarily, because ketones and aldehydes can be structural isomers of each other. Acids and esters as well can be structural isomers of each other. Roman figure 2, they have the same structural formula. That is not true. There's no way that can be true, because by definition, they're structural isomers if they're different in structure. And then Roman figure 3, they have the same molecular formula. Obviously, that has to be always true for them to be structural isomers. 1.4, magnesium ribbon of mass 2 kgs, 2 grams reacts with excess hydrochloric acid of concentration 0.1 mol per decimeter cube at 20 degrees Celsius. Which one of the following changes will not, the keyword here is not, increase the initial rate of the reaction? Using 2 grams of powdered magnesium. We're looking for will not. Obviously, this will increase the rate of reaction because we have increased the surface area. Increasing the temperature will increase the rate of reaction because we're going to have more effective collisions per unit time. And then C, using a longer piece of magnesium ribbon. So, slightly confusing question, because there's an assumption that we have to make. Using a longer piece of the magnesium ribbon. Okay, so no, it is precise. I was missing the point. It's not saying using a longer piece of magnesium ribbon. No, of the magnesium ribbon. So there's an increase in mass here of the initial mass of the magnesium ribbon. So if that is the case, obviously we are going to have an increase in the rate of reaction because we have increased the number of moles initially of the magnesium ribbon. If we use a longer piece of magnesium ribbon, then we're going to have more surface area on the exposed areas of the piece, right? D, doubling the volume of the hydrochloric acid used. The hydrochloric acid is in excess, so we already have excess number of moles that are ready to react. So when we increase the volume of the hydrochloric acid, which is in excess, it's not going to increase the initial rate of the reaction. So the answer to 1.4 is D. There we go. 1.5, the following reaction reaches equilibrium in a closed container. The reaction rate versus time for the reaction is given below. So take a look at the reaction. On the left-hand side, we have 1 mole of gas. On the right-hand side, we have 1 mole of gas as well. And then the sulfur, which is solid. What change was made to the system at time T1? The pressure was increased at a constant temperature. 1.5, that is actually the answer. The answer is A. Right, because as you can see, when there's an increase in the volume, the system cannot respond accordingly as to decrease the volume, right? So the rate of reaction of forward and reverse, they just increase equally so, because we have equal numbers of gases on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And then B, the volume of the container was increased. Obviously, that would decrease the rate of reaction. The temperature was increased. If there was an increase in temperature, it should have favored the reaction that reduces the temperature. It should have favored endothermic reaction more than it does the exothermic reaction. So we cannot have both forward and reverse reaction going up in that manner. And then more hydrogen was added to the system. Should have favored the forward reaction. So that is 1.5. 1.6, a hypothetical endothermic reaction is given below. The activation energy of the reverse reaction is 50 kilojoules per mole. Which one of the following is possible for the reaction above? So I took a lot of time in this question because I had missed endothermic, right? So it was very hard to answer when I have missed that it is endothermic. But then I reread the question and then it made sense. I could cancel out some things because now I know that the reaction is endothermic. So if the reaction is endothermic, it looks like something like this. These are the reactants, obviously. These are the products. All right. And then this is some enthalpy change. Okay. And then it says the activation energy for the reverse reaction is 50 kilojoules. Kilojoules per mole. So we have 50 kilojoules per mole there. Right. So A says, or which one of the following is possible? So A says the heat of reaction for the reaction, the heat of the reaction is plus 70 kilojoules per mole. Makes sense? Makes sense. It can be true. It is very much possible because we know that it is supposed to be positive because the heat of reaction is energy of products minus energy of reactants, and we know that this is an endothermic reaction. So A is very much possible. What about B? The activation energy for the forward reaction is 50 kilojoules per mole. That cannot be the case. We cannot have the activation energy of the forward and the reverse being equal to each other and then conclude that the reaction is endothermic. So B cannot be correct, right? And then C, the energy of the activated complex is 40 kilojoules. Can that be true? Let's make sense of that. Okay, if we have 40 here as the energy of the activated complex, and then the enthalpy or the activated energy for the reverse reaction is 50, then it means that we have 10 kilojoules there. Not 10, but minus 10 rather. We have minus 10. We have minus 10 kilojoules there. And then what would be the... Does that make sense? Let's think about whether that makes sense or not. If that is minus 10, then the energy of the reactants would have to be less than that of the products. So I'm conflicted on C. Let me take a look at D. We'll come back and look at A and C. And then D says the activation energy for the forward reaction is 40 kilojoules per mole. So if it's 40 and the activated, okay, if it is 40 and then that of the reverse is 50, does not make sense. It cannot happen. Of the reverse, the activation energy of the reverse cannot be greater than of the forward reaction if the reaction is endothermic. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that from here to here we would have 40 when from here to here we have 50. So this option does not make any sense. Is it possible for the potential energy to be negative in these graphs? Not so sure, but it is very much possible for the heat of reaction to be plus 70 kilojoules per mole. There's something wrong there. So I'm going with C, not with C, but with A in 1.6. And then 1.7, the products of the reaction between a metal oxide and an acid are. So here we just stick into the basics, a salt and water, just the definition. 1.8, the concentration of each of the four solutions below is 0.1 mole per decimeter cube. Which one of the following correctly places the solutions in order of increase in pH? So we have NaOH, which is a very strong base. So we should be looking at A and B only now because NaOH should have a higher pH than everything else there. Okay, and then NH3 is a base, NH3 is a base. So now we are deciding between H2CO3 and what? And HNO3. HNO3 is a stronger base compared to H2CO3. So the answer to 1.8 should be B, therefore. So 1.8, the answer is B. It is not A. 1.9, we have a galvanic cell with Fe, Fe2 plus and nickel. Which one of the following statements is correct for this cell? So there's something that we need to figure out first. We need to figure out where is where before we answer this question. We need to know where the nickel is and where the iron is in terms of anode and cathode. So I'm paging through my table 4b here of standard reduction potential. So obviously I have anode and cathode. Okay, So on my table, I'm looking for Fe, there it is, and then I'm looking for nickel. So nickel is a stronger reducing agent. So nickel is at the anode, and then Fe, it is a stronger oxidizing agent. So it is at the cathode, right? Okay, so let's carry on and see what is happening. So this is the anode, this is the cathode. A says Ni to the 2 plus is reduced. Ni is at the anode. At the anode, oxidation is taking place. So that is not the case. And then B says Ni2 plus is oxidized. Ni2 plus, that is not the case, right? Ni2 plus is just the ion that is formed when oxidation takes place. And then C says platinum is the electrode at the cathode. At the cathode, we have Fe to the 2 plus and then Fe to the 3 plus, which are both in aqueous solutions. So C makes sense for us to have platinum at the cathode, as it is inert. It is not ready to react. It does not really like to react. And then Ni is the electrode at the cathode. We've determined that not to be true. So the answer here is C. And then 1.10, the setup for electroplating an iron metal with silver is shown in the simplified diagram below. Okay, so at the cathode, we need the metal that we are electroplating, and then at the anode, we need the silver, obviously, so that oxidation can be taken place, and then the iron metal can get coated through reduction at the cathode. Okay, so which one of the following combinations for the anode and the reaction at the cathode is correct? So let's start here. At the anode, we need the silver. So this is anode, right? And then at the cathode, we need the iron metal so that it can be coated through reduction. So anode, silver rod. So we're only looking at A and C. Or not iron metal, but silver rod. So we're looking at B and D in this case. And then reaction at the cathode, this way the reduction is taking place, right? We're going to have Ag plus an electron giving us Ag. So that is the answer to 1.10. It is D, therefore. Let me know which question you want me to do next in the comments. Do you have any other opinions? Did you get anything different from what I'm getting? Let me know in the comments.